Hello everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna try something different because we're going to have two cameras. So I'm going to use the top-down camera to show you all of the decks and the books, but we're also going to use the face camera, however we want to call it, because I think that once I got over the worries and the sense of inferiority that sometimes takes every single one of us, thinking that we don't look good enough to be on camera and that we somehow need to change our appearance. I think that once you get over that, it becomes easier and easier, and in any case it has been the case for me. So I'm here also presenting my facial reactions to all of the things that we're going to discover together. And today it's a very exciting haul because it is my birthday haul. So I have shown a number of decks and also books that I have been gifted or that I bought for myself in occasion of my birthday, which was on the 17th of February. But what happened after that was that on the actual day of my birthday, the 17th, my husband and I went to a fantastic trip in up to the Blue Mountains, and we made our way up going through what is called the book trail. So this is basically a trail that you can do, not walking would take definitely a long time, but you can actually drive between bookstore to bookstore. There's a number of bookstores that belong to this book trail. The Blue Mountains are situated, west of Sydney, and they're not too far away from where I live now. I used to live on the coast, but now we just moved towards the mountains. And it was absolutely amazing. We had an amazing time. I met some fantastic people. I got to talk to bookstore owners, which is always really nice for me. And I bought a lot of stuff. So just, as a recommendation, just grab a coffee because this is going to be a long video. There's a few decks, there's a few books, there's also, I don't know, you'll notice that I'm not wearing any nails today because at the end of the video, if you're still here, I will show you a few nails and I will give you the possibility to choose the next set of nails you want me to wear. So stay tuned. So let's have a look, and I want to start actually with a couple of decks and a book. So the decks, I've had them for a long time, and we're talking about the Light Seers Tarot by Chris-Anne Donnelly. It has been published by Hay House a number of years ago. I don't even remember when this deck actually came out first. But it's safe to say that it's one of the decks that we can consider older, as in it's not one of the newer ones. And it's also because, if I remember correctly, Chris-Anne actually originally published this one as an independent deck. So it was an indie deck that was picked up mass market by Hay House. I know that there's a lot of us that are still looking for that indie deck because the story goes that the original deck came with a Ten of Swords that then was replaced by Chris-Anne, and so there's only a limited amount of decks that had that original Ten of Swords and not the replacement card. And Hay House has picked up the replacement card for the Ten of Swords, so we'll see later. And I also have the mini or the teen version of this deck because this is going to be our next study deck. So together with my members, we're swapping from one deck to another every 2.5 months, and we've done some fantastic work. We started about just over a year ago with the Yokai Yochi Tarot, then we moved on to the Sacred Chi Tarot, then we moved on to I tend to forget now, the Awakening Tarot, and then we moved on to the Wildwood Tarot. We had a live discussion about the Wildwood Tarot just about almost a week ago, I'd say, and it's always so much fun. So if you're interested in my membership, there is a join button in the description box below, and you can also, before you decide whether to join or not, there is an explanation of all the perks for each and every tier of the membership. And let me just say though that when it comes to the the deck study, what I generally do, the live videos are actually open to all of my subscribers. The Sunlight and the Starlight tiers, which are the medium and the top tier, have access also to a lot of additional material that I do, including videos, custom spread recommendations on material for you to do a proper deep dive into the deck, which can include different kind of books, but also movies to watch or songs to listen to, or even rituals and ceremonies, or as I said, custom spread, or even oracle decks that may go well with the deck that we're studying. So that material is accessible just to the medium and top tier membership, so the Sunlight and the Starlight, but the Fairlight have access to the live discussion. So you can actually jump in on camera with me to have this discussion, or if you want you can join on chat, or you can also watch all of these videos on replay. It's absolutely fine. So the Chris-Anne Donnelly and the Light Seers Tarot is going to be the deck that we're actually going to start studying now. So it's an excellent time if you want to join my membership. But what I wanted to show you is this book, and this is the reason why let's say I was actually waiting a little bit to send out all of the recommended material to my members, because I wanted to check out whether this book is, I don't want to say worth it or not, because I believe that any book that has been released by the author of a deck is always worth to check out, because it's obviously presenting the deck from a different point of view, and it is the point of view of the creator. So as a matter of fact, it will mean that it will give us an additional layer of interpretation to the cards possibly, or it will catch our attention on a number of details that we may have missed when we were studying the deck on our own. But I just still wanted to check it out and see whether it was a good addition to the material that I'm proposing. And I'm happy to say that this is a fantastic book. This is really an amazing book. I mean, obviously, now let me just zoom in a little bit. We're going to have a look at this book here, not in its entirety obviously, but just to show you how it's laid out, or how it's structured. So there's a lot, as you can see here immediately, there's a lot of cursive or handwriting, and obviously we imagine that it's in Chris-Anne's handwriting, and it does give you a little bit of an introduction, of course, and this is really lovely. I have to say I really like the way in which Chris-Anne writes. So it is a really interesting book, but it's also very flowing. It's very easy to read, I would say. So a lot to talk about the major arcana, the minor arcana, and then connecting to your cards, reading and spreads. And generally speaking, when it comes to these kind of chapters, you will see that they're quite let's say common or popular in decks that we already have, because they do show up also on the little white books that you may get together with the decks. But then when it comes to the spread, there's also something more. So you need to look at this book almost as if it were an expanded coffee table version of a guidebook, something like that. I am very happy that I splurged and I bought this book, to be honest with you. It is not very expensive. I believe I paid around 30 Australian dollars for it, which is 19 to 20 US dollars. So it's not an incredibly expensive book. Obviously, if you don't need it, you can still read the tarot deck without the book. But I would say that it does give you, it gives you an edge. It gives you something to be happy about, and it makes you want to study the deck even more, and it makes you want to use the deck even more. So you do have a few spreads, as you can see, and then it just goes straight into the major arcanas. But as you can see here on this page, for example, we do have a little bit of a deeper let's say discussion about all of the symbols that you can see in the cards themselves, and it's done throughout the whole deck. So it's not just for the majors, which is sometimes the case. In some decks you will see that they do spend a little bit more time on the majors, but I'm happy to say you can definitely see this in all of the cards. There's also a lot of references. There's also quotes, or direct messages from Chrysan to the reader. So it is, I believe it's worth it. I believe it's actually a really nice addition to studying the deck when you're using it and when you're studying it. And I feel like I highly recommend it. As a matter of fact, it was part of the material that I recommended to my members in case they wanted to buy something else related to the study of this deck. Other than that, I would say it's a really beautiful book. As you can see, it's got full color. It's a very nice semi-glossy paper, very nice to the touch. You know, guys, that I actually pay attention to these kind of details, because to me the experiencing of a deck goes from touching the cards, having the feel of how heavy they are, or how sturdy they are, if they have a bounce or not, if they have a linen finish or not, if they are gloss or semi-gloss or matte, and so on and so forth. And to the same extent to the book, obviously, when we have a coffee table, because this is your typical hardcover coffee table kind of book, and it's actually really beautiful to look at. And I would go as far as to say that this is a nice book to have even if you don't have the deck. But let me just tell you, when you do purchase this book and you don't have the deck, you will feel like you actually want to have the deck as well. Something really nice that I found at the end is also a bit of a comparison, or tarot correspondences, it's called, between the traditional RWS deck. So as you can see here on the left, and then on the right you will have the deck, Chrysan's deck, the Light Seer. And what I really like, let me just zoom in even further because then we can see properly. So as you can see here, there will be a lot of references and correspondences. So for example, when it comes to the full card, you will have RWS, Dog, Spirit, Messenger, Companion, then there's a White Rose, Innocence, Purity, Knapsack, Journey Ahead, No Baggage, Red Feather, Message from Spirit, Life Force also appears on the Sun and the Death card. And then the LST, which is the Light Seers Tarot, and it will tell you what the correspondences are. So for example, the Amethyst crystal is Companion, the Staff or the Wand is protection she needs, red dots in her hair from High Priestess Pomegranate, where she is headed. The Seed of Life is the sacred geometry as creation, and the Rooted Feet suggests the need to let go. I love this because on the one hand, of course, it gives you a deeper view and also it creates a deeper bond with the Light Seers Tarot. But at the same time, if you didn't know about the traditional symbols in the RWS, it's almost as if you have the two for the price of one, because it tells you what those are in a traditional RWS. So I really love this book. I love how it's made. I love the product quality. The cover, it's hardcover, it's very sturdy, it's very nice, it feels very nice. Holding it, you can tell it's an actual book. So I'm really stoked to have this one. Really happy to have this one. So moving on to other books that I purchased, because you guys know me, I love reading. I really love reading. And so, a birthday haul could not have been just about decks, but it's also about books. And I bought a little bit more. I bought about 13 decks, and let me explain why. The 13 books. And the reason is that in the bookstores, in the Blue Mountain book trail, you will find there's a few secondhand bookstores, which I always love, because I actually like the idea of holding into my hands a book that has been loved by somebody else, but has been read by somebody else. And also, let's face it, it makes the book a lot more affordable than the new one. So these ones, so I bought a few, but these are all new. So let me just show you this one here, and let me just zoom out a bit. So this one is actually the first tome, the first book out of 3. I believe there's 3 out has been published so far by Heather Fawcett, and it's called Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So if you have been watching my videos, if you've been following for any length of time, you would know that my favorite genre is actually horror. And then a close second is probably thriller or mystery, or you know, crime, but always in the sense of fiction, obviously. So crime fiction, not real crime. That's my husband's favorite genre. But we so I love buying books. I love also reading them as a physical book, but also I love reading them on my Kindle, which is always with me, and whenever I go, because it's very light, so I can put it in my bag and I can have access to thousands of books. But I also really love audibles as well, especially when I'm studying. So when it comes to this book, this is not a horror book, and I know that it's more like fantasy, and it's a type of a magical fantasy. So there's different subgenre when we look at fantasy. Obviously, I don't necessarily like fantasy based on dragons and those type of worlds. I really admire an author that can do that, because I wouldn't be able to be so imaginative. But I do like magic, and so, you know, the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, it seems to me like it's a really excellent bridge for me, going from the horror or strictly horror genre that I like to something that is more related on you know, fairies and magic and fantasy. And so I'm really curious about this book. Have you read this book? If you have, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always very interested to know what your taste is about pretty much anything, not just text. And then another one that I really wanted to show you, because we're going back to what I like best. This is a book that I wanted for such a long time, but it is not a cheap one, and that's the reason why I hesitated for quite some time before acquiring it, because this book it feels like almost it's a catalog of you know, horror books, but at the same time it's actually really cool, and it's called the 101 Horror Books to Read Before You're Murdered. So I really love the title. The foreword is by one of my favorite horror writers of all time, which is Josh Malerman, and you might know him from Bird Box, for example, or Daphne, or The House at the Bottom of the Lake, which is one of my favorite of all time. And this is literally what it says in the title, is the recommendation about 101 horror books to read before you're murdered. I really hope that that happens to no one, of course. But I was able to find it for a really excellent price. And so when it goes through it, and not by chance, I actually found the page talking about Josh Malerman. So as you can see, it tells you all the recommended titles. And as you can see here, there's a Bird Box, Pearl, which I haven't read yet, Mallory, which is the sequel to Bird Box, and A House at the Bottom of a Lake, which is more like a novella. And it's actually really fantastic. It deals a lot with obsession, but there's a couple of moments in which I was actually really scared. And then Unbury Carol and Inspection, Black Mat Wheel, Goblin, Daphne, which is the latest one that I've acquired, and I can't wait to delve into this one. So it really talks about the author. It gives you a little bit of bio and then the recommended titles. And I honestly, I really love the way in which this book is structured. And you know, there's another section in which, for example, it talks about this one here. So for example, Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey, that was published in 2014. As you can see at a glance, and on this column, it literally gives you a number of symbols that refer to what you can expect out of this book. So the themes are family, apocalypse, global pandemic, illness, science, vampirism, resurrection, drinking blood, etc. I've actually read Suffer the Children. I really loved it, but I found it incredibly sad. Definitely a horror book for the theme, not so much as in scare factor, but it was really sad. It was really sad. I do recommend it though, because it was really fantastic. And it's also because Craig DeLuey writes really well, I believe. And then, you know, you go on and there's different ones, and you know, you go from full novels to novellas to short story collections, and so on and so forth. And so I am so excited about this book. There's also a book checklist towards the end, and you know, so you can tick the ones that you've already read or you bought, or they are on your TBR. So really, really excited to have this. And then moving on to another book, because obviously these are the ones that I bought at the same time. So I love T. Fisher. She's amazing. I absolutely adore her, because I started reading T. Fisher when I read The Hollow Places, and that was her most horror, let's say, book, or at least the ones that are out of the ones that I read from T. Fisher. And then I moved on to Nettle and Bones, and I actually started liking that kind of magical fantasy through a lot of it feels like it's being told through a lens of humor, because there's a lot of humor. Taking Fisher, she's absolutely hilarious sometimes, even when she's describing something that should be horrific, and it's not a humor that takes you away, it's a humor that keeps you there. So it's really well received, at least this is my opinion. And so I bought A House with Good Bones, and I can't wait to start reading this, which is also blurred by Paul Tremblay, who's another one of my favorite authors when it comes to horror. And then another deck that this is literally a Kayla recommendation. Kayla made me do it. So Kayla from Books and Lala, she's one of my favorite, together with Anda Kent, she's one of my favorite booktuber. And she really recommends this book. It's Gabriel Smith Bratt, A Ghost Story. I have to say, I'm not a fan of the cover, if I can say that. I know that there's a lot of people saying that it's absolutely fantastic and that it really reflects the spirit of the book, and I can't wait to read it. But I just wanted to start with these books just to show you that you know, this is part of my birthday haul, and it was amazing. If you're in Sydney, if you have time, do the book trail. If you just Google book trail, you will find it. It is really amazing to, and then, you know, there's a couple of these bookstores that have a cafe inside, so you can actually sit down and have a cup of coffee or tea and eat a muffin and look at the books you just bought. So it's a really amazing experience. It's really beautiful. It's also because the blue mantas are actually really nice. But I just wanted to show you something else that I bought for my birthday. And let me just see. So as I said at the beginning, I'm not wearing any nails, as you can see here, because at the end of this video, I'm going to invite you to let me know which nails you want me to wear next. But I just wanted to show you these ones. So these nails are absolutely fantastic, and let me see if I can zoom in a little bit further just to see them a little bit better. So these are absolutely amazing. These are creations by an artist, because to be able to do something like this, you have to be an artist. So Hayley Nail. And this is what she also gave me a coupon. So when you buy them, obviously you have some benefits. For example, after 3 buys, there's a free toolkit, and then there's buy 2 get 1 for free, and at the end, if you buy 10, you get 1 for free. These are very, very affordable prices. Generally speaking, when I buy nails, I used to buy them from Nailsicist, who has some fantastic nail designs, but they are rather expensive. Even though, let me tell you, when you go to a nail parlor to get your nails done, at least in Sydney, that sets you back $150 for what I would generally do. Which is probably complex, more than other people would do, but in any case, that would be $150, and you can only use them for probably 3 weeks, and after that you have to remove them and they're gone. These ones, the Nailsicist prices are around $80 to $90 to $100. These ones were, I believe, $20 up to $35 Australian, and these are reusable. It means that they last really long. You can use them for 1 week, and then when you're tired of looking at them and seeing the same nails, you can actually change that. So this is Hayley's TikTok, hayley.nail. She also have a WhatsApp and WeChat, and also an Instagram account. So I highly recommend. She's absolutely lovely. She's really a lovely person, and I mean, look at how beautiful these nails are. So at the end of the video, again, I will ask you to tell me which ones you prefer me to wear for the next videos. There's also another one that I'm keeping a secret because I cannot say anything yet, but there'll be a really amazing partnership that I'm really looking forward to, that will be presented in the month of March. And so there'll be everything coordinated to that. You know, I don't want to say too much, I want to spoil it. So let's move on to the decks, because I'm really excited about showing what I've got. So let me do this. So the first one that I want to show you is this one. Let me just zoom out a bit more. So this is the Crystal Grid Oracle, but this is the deluxe edition from Nicola McIntosh, and it's been published by Rockpool. Can I say something? And this is a confession. I made so many mistakes when buying this deck. This is actually the second time that I'm buying this deck, because there's two versions of this deck. One is not called Deluxe, but when you look at the deck, you will excuse me if I don't immediately see the word Deluxe Edition, because it says so here. So it's not the first thing that I see about a deck. And what happened was that when I wanted to buy it, someone told me, look, that there's a Deluxe Edition, don't buy the old edition because the Deluxe Edition has more cards. So in my mind, I was like, okay, well, if it does have more cards, it means that it's more expensive. So when I went to the listings on Amazon, without paying too much attention to the details, and I should have, of course, I didn't pay attention at all, and I just saw the two different prices. And the other one had a, let's say, it was at least $10–15 more expensive, and I thought to myself, that must be the deluxe edition because it's more expensive, right? No. Wrong, because that was actually the older edition. And so when I bought that one, I realized that it was the older edition with less card, and I actually rehomed it. And so I finally found the right deck, which is this one here, which ironically is only, I believe, $26, which doesn't make much sense because the other one was $35 or even more than that. I don't know, probably because it is an older edition, it's more difficult to find, I have no idea. But in any case, this is an amazing deck because it is connecting a passion of mine, two passions of mine, divination, but also self-care practice with the use of crystals without necessarily having to spend hundreds of dollars in actual crystals. So the Crystal Grid Oracle, let me just open it quickly. And you know, remember this deck, because this will also be part of the exciting news that I will have for you in the month of March. So this one is a really beautiful deck, as I said, focusing on crystals. I do have a lot of crystals, as you can see here. I always have these smaller ones. We have tiger eye here and rose quartz here, and I also have amethyst somewhere else. And I do have a few, but I understand that when you buy them, you don't even realize that you're actually spending hundreds of dollars on them. If you're not spending hundreds of dollars on them, if I were you, I would double check whether they're real or not, they're genuine or not, because there's a lot of reproductions. So this one will give you the possibility to work with crystals, but at the same time without breaking the bank. So when we do inner work, our world changes. I really like this deck, I really do. It is, obviously I'm excited to see the additional cards because I wasn't able to see them when I originally bought it. But if this is similar to the older edition, yes, there's also exercises. So as you can see here, we not only have the small thumbprint in full color of the card, but then we have a keyword that is also reflected on the card. So you can basically use it as an oracle deck if you want as well. What I intend to use it for is more like a personal growth or rituals and ceremonies. So together with my Starlight members, we're doing a lot of rituals together. I propose these rituals. So each and every month we're taking a quest. And so the month of January was the Fool's Quest, which was about new beginnings. And now that we're in February, we're actually looking at the High Priestess and the Moon, the Moon card quest, which is about intuition, but it tells the difference between the intuition as a keyword associated with the High Priestess and intuition as a keyword associated with the Moon card. So we're doing lots of challenges. There's in this particular case, for the last 2 weeks of February, we're going into a creativity challenge. So hopefully for everyone, because I know that, like me, for example, I'm not the creative type when it comes to conventional expression of art, like painting, for example. I couldn't paint to save my life, but I am creative when it comes to writing. I am creative when it comes to photography. And so there's a couple of things that I hope will appeal to everyone. And so there's custom spreads, there's deck recommendation. We're looking at decks, we're looking at deck pairings, we're looking at the ways in which we can use tarot, not just for divination, but then, as a matter of fact, divination is only 10% of my personal practice with tarot, to be honest with you. So looking at this, then obviously it talks about the gemstones or the crystals that are depicted on the card, obviously. So we got here orange calcite, fun emotional balance, energizing orange calcite, citrine quartz, and optical calcite. So obviously it gives you the possibility to dive deeper into the meaning of all of these gems, which is always very interesting, I believe, always very interesting. And on the other page, if you turn the page, you see here there is an exercise. So if you're having relationship or sexual issues, or just need to break away from being stuck in a routine, you could try using art as your therapy, as it works with the same chakra. Meditating with this card or carrying orange calcite with you will have the same effect. Be creating and wear something orange or eat orange foods if that works for you. Bring orange into your aura and have fun doing it. I really love a guidebook that tells me something like this, because imagine there's 60, pardon me, I'm just gonna double check. No, there is 72. There are 72 cards, so as you can imagine, there are 72 exercises, which obviously make life more interesting, more fun, engaging with yourself, a fun activity, but also creating a deeper bond with others. So, and that's literally what we want to do with my Starlight members. So this is the guidebook, and let's just have a quick look at the cards. And as you can see, it's really a chunky monkey of a deck. Obviously 72 cards is almost as big as a tarot deck. And by the way, there's also a tarot deck that I believe pairs up really nicely with this. But for now, I'm just going to show you the cards, or some of the cards. I'm not going to go into all of the cards. As you can see, it's a very beautiful, it is minimalist in the sense that obviously you don't have, let's say, modern representation of daily life, which is absolutely fine, but you do have some images, as you can see here at the bottom, for example. But mostly it's about all of these gems, all of these crystals, and also the sacred geometry that goes behind it, because obviously when we think about crystal grid, we also think about consciously creating sacred geometry. And I really like it. I like the colors. I actually really like the background colors that have been chosen for these cards. They're very, very beautiful. Sometimes there's also the addition, as I said, of symbols. For example, there is a feather here. I don't know if you can see with this stone, or there's another feather here with the heart center, watermelon tourmaline, and a growth, for example, with quartz stalactite. Beginnings with the lava stone. See, honestly, if I had to buy, even if I bought just one, which is never enough to build a crystal grid, you need more than one stone, but even if I had just to buy one for each and every of these cards, that would be 72. crystals, and it will be very expensive. I can assure you it will be very expensive. And in many cases in Australia we have access to, should I say, affordable crystals, genuine crystal, but affordable, because we have a lot of miners, and we do find a lot of these as natural resources in Australia. So they will be probably even more expensive overseas. I don't think I've ever bought a considerable amount of gemstones or crystals overseas, simply because it's difficult to carry them back to Australia because of the weight. But in any case, absolutely stoked about finally getting the right deck that I wanted since the beginning, and it's really beautiful. As I said, it will be part of this announcement that will come in probably a couple of weeks time. So for now, we're just gonna put it back on the box, and we are moving on to another deck that I bought because I've had my eyes on this for quite some time. It is the Cosmic Pearl Oracle by Ashley Frost and Leah Schumann. This has been published by the Sacred Scribe Publishing, and I could be wrong, but I believe that this one used to be an indie deck. I could be wrong though, maybe I'm confused with another deck. In any case, it does have that kind of indie deck vibes. I don't know if you understand what I mean with that, but it is, I've had the possibility to have a look at an open copy, because sometimes in these bookstores, well, they sold tarot and oracle decks, they also had 1 or 2 copies open for you to have a look at the cards, which I always appreciate, and it's not something that happens very often anymore, which is a pity. But anyway, so the Cosmic Pearl Oracle, let's have a look at it, because I was stoked when I had a look at the cards. I was really stoked. You are a living prayer. I don't know if you can tell. It's difficult to show because only if I do this, you'll probably be able to see there is a writing on the inside of the flap of the box, and it is in silver or holographic, as you can see. So it's not the easiest thing to read. As a matter of fact, I also have to angle it in such a way that I can read it, otherwise I wouldn't. But then we have a bit of an introduction here. Really nice, and let me tell you, this is a 2nd generation rose petal kind of cardstock, which is really nice. And I'm saying 2nd generation because I'm assuming it is not the one that keeps the card glued one to the other. Really beautiful backs, by the way, really nice. And let's have a look. I think that there's also a guidebook. Yes, there is. So really fantastic wraparound magnetic box. As you can see, I'm really appreciative of the effort that goes behind the creation of these decks. I mean, this one looks absolutely perfect. It feels very nice to the touch. It has the same kind of feel as the rose petal of the cards. So really beautiful production. Let's put it here for now. And we do have a guidebook here. So let me just briefly go into it and see. So we have a small thumbprint in full color about the card. We have the title, we have the keywords that we can find also on the card, which is always great. And then there's a little bit of description, there's some affirmation, there's some activating practice. So it almost looks like it's a very similar setup as the Crystal Grid Oracle. So we do have activating practices, some sort of an exercise here. So we got number 6 is Creative Enchantress. We create a dreamscape, look within. And the activating practice says, to get your creative juices flowing, write a letter, write a little short story, pick a genre and write this story just for fun. Nobody needs to see this story but you. Use your imagination and write whatever comes to mind. Add in any crazy or out there situations and tie it all together nicely with an ending of your choice. Be descriptive with the characters and fully step into that inner child energy. Most importantly, don't take it too seriously or get hung up on grammar. Just let it flow. This practice may spark something inside of you that you never even knew you were passionate about. I really love this. I think I'm gonna have a great time using this deck. It's aesthetically very beautiful. But you guys know me, aesthetics are very important, of course, yes. I mean, who am I kidding? Of course, aesthetics are important. They are probably the first thing that I notice about a deck, whether I like the images or not. These are the backs, by the way. But it's not it. It's not the only thing that is important to me. So looking at the cards, as I said, really, really nice feeling, touching experience on from the cards. And so I have to say though, I don't know if it's clear, I think it is, but the images are slightly soft. I would say you don't see very saturated colors, at least not in these cards. It is a collage deck, so really like it. And let's face it, 90% of new decks lately are collage decks. Whether they are manual, digital, it doesn't matter, but they are collage decks. So this is obviously a collage deck made out of curated art, because of course you can see this image here, which is very, very common in a few decks that we know, tarot decks as well. But I actually don't mind. I mean, this only means to me that I'll be able to use this deck with a number of tarot decks, and that it will pair up nicely with them. So I'm absolutely for it. Obviously, it needs to tell me something. It needs to give me a reason to use it. The fertile heart, receptive, eyes wide open, uncover. That's really nice, actually. And you will see there's pearls pretty much everywhere, so it is something that is a bit of a theme to the deck. I'm thinking about pairing it with the Tarot of Persephone's Garden. That could be a good idea, but any tarot deck that is similar to the Tarot Delphi, for example, and there's been a few, the Aphrodite one as well, everything that has this kind of Renaissance kind of art. I've bought recently 2 oracle decks that I absolutely love. I fell in love with them. I'm planning about doing a wowza kind of decks video in which I'm going to show you all of the decks that really shocked me for how let's say they give you a different perspective on tarot, and so maybe the aesthetics are okay or beautiful but not shocking, but they are shocking for the content, or decks that are actually shocking by how beautiful they are. And so I bought 2 oracle decks by Sandita 2.0. Fantastic. One is, they're both French, but one of them is going to be published in English. It's called Dis-moi que tu m'aimes, which means tell me you love me. And I did see it in a listing for later on this year in English. This deck, oh, look at the kitten. Okay, yeah, this card, I think it was the card that actually convinced me to buy this deck, because look at the kittens. I mean, adorable. Beautiful boundaries. It's safe to say no. Stand strong. Loving barrier. I love that because it really reminds me of the independence and the barriers, you know, the boundaries that cats have, even though they love you and you love them back. But they're always like, it's okay, don't call me, I'll call you. So it's, yeah, it's really nice. Really lovely, very soft kind of deck. Not just for the color palette. Obviously I haven't started working with it yet. This is an unboxing, so I may change my mind and it may turn out to be a very deep, very confronting deck, but somehow I don't think so. I don't think that the creator wanted to make something confronting and choosing these images for that. But in any case, as I said, very, very excited to be working with this deck as soon as I can. And then moving on to another couple of decks. So what happened was that I was gifted this deck, which is the Earth Woman Tarot by Tarn Ellis. Now this was, let's say, a deck that I was given a few vouchers, and I just decided to buy this deck. Originally, you probably remember me saying that I wasn't going to buy this deck because the characters on the images do not have an actual face. Or rather, they have a face, but they're missing their noses, mouths and eyes, which is something that creates a bit of a cognitive dissonance for me, because looking at the expression on a face is very important for me. And that was one of the reasons why I actually rehomed the Monsoon Tarot. I don't know if you guys remember. The Monsoon Tarot is really lovely, and it's based on fairy tales, Asian fairy tales. So very, very beautiful concept. But I just couldn't work with it because I could not see the the faces, and also because unfortunately the Monsoon Tarot does not come with an extensive explanation of the fairy tales that are depicted. And then I actually found out that it's not depicted on actual fairy tales, or rather known fairy tales, but it's inspired by popular fairy tales. So of course there wouldn't have been a description of the fairy tales, because there were no references to a specific one, which was a pity, because I would have loved to have a deck like that, which I actually found later on with the Exile Tarot, which is one of my favorites of all time. It's just absolutely beautiful, and it comes in two versions, and one of them doesn't have faces, and the one that I got is the Awaken edition, and it's got faces. But getting back to Earth Woman Tarot, so this deck is amazing. It's really, really beautiful. The only reason why I didn't feel like I wanted to purchase this deck, this is by Lo Scarabeo, by the way, and you can see now they're actually doing an effort in creating boxes that fit really snug, so it doesn't get open. So when you actually pick it up from the top, it doesn't fall out of your hand. I used to have, I think it was one of the very first ones, one of them that was, I don't remember which one it was. I have a number of decks, as you can see there, by Lo Scarabeo, that have these this setup. And one of them, you have to be really careful when picking it up, because if you don't pick it up from the lower part, it will definitely fall, because this top would just slide off very easily. But this one is not the case. So we got a guidebook, as always. And let me see, so there's a fair bit written. Let me just see whether you have different languages, and you do, obviously. So in English, you in English you have as many as 67 pages, which is not bad. Admittedly, it's not bad. It's got a very small font, as you can see here. And even when it comes to the minors, I mean, these were the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. You have a couple of keywords, but you also have a description, which is always very welcome, because I love to read the description of the cards. Sometimes I miss out on a couple of details. You know, it's normal, it's human on missing out on stuff, especially when it's the first time that you look at them. And then going back to the majors, I just wanted to see whether there is something written even more. It looks like there is. So we've got the moon with intuition, illumination and phases. The full moon in the sky illuminates a path winding into the distance. The eye symbolizes the moon's great intuition. Two women are dancing. So there is a description of the cards, which I really like. So without much further ado, let me just open this, because as always, Lo Scarabeo, I don't understand why they feel like they need to, probably because they don't want the cards to be moving, but they always wrap them. The deck comes wrapped, as you've seen me wrapping it earlier, but then also the cards themselves, which feels like it's a lot of plastic. But at the end of the day, if it means that it's keeping the cards safe from getting damaged, then, you know, there's always pros and cons. And this is the intro card, of course. And by the way, let me tell you, this is a very similar quality cardstock to the Yokai Tarot. So the Yokai Tarot is one of my favorite when it comes to the cardstock, and I'm not talking about Yokai Yochi or the many other Yokai tarot decks that I've got in my collection. I'm talking about the one published by Lo Scarabeo. It is very papery. The tactile feel to this is very nice to me. I actually really like it, and the sound, as you can tell, is very nice as well. And but it doesn't feel as thin as the Voodoo box. So if you watch, I talked about the cardstock of the Voodoo box. Voodoo box is called also the the Spirit Box Voodoo Tarot by Fabulous Strani. So that one has a slightly thinner kind of cardstock, and it feels to me like it's almost crossing the line into being very easy to damage. So I'm always very careful when I shuffle that deck. This one feels like it's okay, it's sturdy enough for you to be able to shuffle it. And these are the backs, by the way, really nice. If this one reminds you of an oracle deck, it's because there is an oracle deck by the same author, Tan Alice, and it's called the Earth Song Oracle. And I'm very much looking forward to using these two together. However, I think that there's another oracle deck that I would love pairing up with this tarot deck even more. And I will show you later because it's actually also part of my birthday haul. So let's have a look. As always, I'm not going to show you all of the cards, but look at how beautiful the colors are. I absolutely adore this color palette. It's so saturated and brilliant. Granted, the matte finish to the cardstock does not make the colors pop as much as it would had it been glossy, but I don't complain because I actually do prefer this cardstock or this finish, so it's fine. Really, really beautiful, enchanting, I would say. Absolutely gorgeous images. I hesitated for so long because every time, especially when you see the character that has a face in focus, let's say, and you're missing the eyes, you're missing the mouth, it is kind of, I need to take a step back sometimes and just reorder my thoughts. Especially in this card, for example, we're talking about the Four of Cups, and I would have loved to see what expression is in the face of this character. Are they restless? Are they worried? Are they bored? Are they closing their eyes sometimes? So it would have been really nice, but it's fine, it's totally fine. And there's a lot of cards in which you don't necessarily see a need to see the expression, like this Six of Cups, for example. Or this one is the Eight of Cups, in which of course the character is actually turning away from us, so we wouldn't see their face in any case. Love this deck. Is it just me? The colors are amazing. I'm seriously gushing over the colors of these cards. They are so beautiful. So beautiful. And as I said, I don't want to show you all of the cards, especially because I really wanted to try out a pairing with an oracle deck that I bought at the same time as this tarot deck, which is right here. Oh, sorry, let me just see the Six of Swords. How beautiful is this? This is a really gorgeous card. I always pay attention to the Three of Swords and to the Six of Swords. Well, let's put it this way. I always pay attention to all of the cards in the Suit of Swords because I want to see what they show me. Okay, well, I'm not thrilled that there's still a pursed heart, but I do understand that there's the will to make this card something more than the usual exception of heartbreak that we think about when we think about the Three of Swords. There is rain, it's raining, and the character is actually putting her hands like this, but if you can see, actually, you'll see that there is the rain or the water accumulating on the character's palms is actually flowing through their fingers. That is really beautiful. It's a really beautiful concept. Let me just quickly have a look at what the guidebook says for the Three of Swords, because I would be really interested in understanding if there is something to be read about that or not, or perhaps it's just me. I'm always trying to find an additional way to read the Three of Swords. So the disappointment, pain, loss. Okay, but at least it doesn't say heartbreak. A woman stands in the rain with 3 swords piercing her heart. She has been wounded by words and actions and is feeling much pain. The Three of Swords is about the unpleasant and yet unavoidable parts of life: disappointment, failure, loss, sadness, and grief. It reminds you that they are part of your human experience and that we all go through them. You should accept these feelings, no matter how uncomfortable they are. Know that it is okay to express yourself and light and load by confiding in others. Allow yourself to feel everything without trying to change it. The pain is temporary and it will be soon washed away. leaving you stronger and more resilient for having gone through these rough times. So there's no explanation as to the fact that the character has the hands put in such a way that the water actually slips through the fingers, but I like this motion, I like this concept, and it's also because the water from a mechanical point of view points to the fluidity of both the minds and the heart, and so also the feelings. So let me just get back to the Six of Swords, which is so beautiful because I love the orange colors of the sunset that are reflected into the body of water, whether it's a lake or a stream, where the character is just making her own way to the other side of the shore. Absolutely gorgeous. And when it comes to the Seven of Swords, let me tell you, it's actually better that we don't see a face. I actually prefer that, because I feel like in many decks there is this emphasis about the smile or the smirk of the person, the Seven of Swords, and I don't read it that way. I don't think that the person, when they're going through something so difficult that they have to do something against their own value, but they have to because of their circumstances, they will smile about it. I don't feel like that way. But I love it. And let me just have a look at the Queen of Swords, which I always love because I think it's my significator, or at least partly so. And she's holding an L, which is always nice, beautiful, loving it. Absolutely love this deck. It is incredibly, I think it's very scenic, and the combination between the illustration and the colors is actually fantastic. However, I wanted to show you this oracle deck that I bought because I really wanted to pair it with this deck, and it's the Feminine Wisdom Oracle, Awaken Your Intuitive Energy by Leah Andrich, and this is released by Rockpool. It is a deck that has been released probably a few months ago. I believe it's still from 2024, but I never reached out to it. I never bought it, let's say, because it always felt like it was missing the right tarot deck to use it with. I don't know if I'm making any kind of sense, but to me that is actually something that is rather important. So unless it's say an oracle deck, let me explain. Unless it's an oracle deck like the Anatomy of Healing or the Death Doula Oracle or the Energy Archaeology Oracle, which I tend to use by themselves unless I use them in a spread, but they have a very specific use and I really like it. When I buy an oracle deck, it needs to, in my mind at least, it needs to pair up with a tarot deck that I already have, and so that actually gives me an additional motivation to buy it. This is really gorgeous. I believe it's one of the deluxe decks by Rockpool. As you can see here, it does have some gold foiling on the top of the box, and it opens like that. So everything in time. Really nice with the L there, and I see already that it may indeed pair up really nicely with the Earth Woman Tarot. So as always, we have these booklets, these books, guidebooks, you know, together with the deck. It's really nice because it's got a full page in full color of the cards that we have, and then it talks about the title. It reminds you of the keywords. There's a little bit of a description, but not a lot. It's totally fine. I wasn't expecting to have a thick guidebook. I'm perfectly happy with this, and it looks really gorgeous, and it looks like it will pair up really nicely, so I cannot wait to do just that. So without much further ado, let me just get into the cards and see. So always come with a belly band. This one is also gilded, as many other decks lately by Rockpool are. And look how beautiful these cards are. Look how colorful. I love that the backgrounds are also colored. You see, if we had a tarot deck, so the Earth Woman Tarot with faces, like we can see faces, mouth and eyes, even if the eyes are closed most of the time, I'm totally fine with that. But it is the expression that I seek out the most, because I want to understand what the character on the card is feeling, and I want to see whether I can bond with the character and what they're going through or not. But it's totally fine, and I feel almost like this deck has the faces and the other one doesn't, because we need to focus first on the message coming out of the oracle, and then moving on to the messages coming out of the tarot cards on the sides. Look at this card, how beautiful this is. This is amazing, I love it. And the keyword is hope, belief in fulfillment. So obviously there's someone in a very difficult situation, because as you can see, there is a storm approaching, there's lightning, and these clouds look really threatening. And it looks like they're kind of hurrying their way out of this field, but at the same time, they are surrounded by these really beautiful yellow flowers. Really love this card, absolutely love it. There's so much abandonment in many of these cards. There's a few yoga poses as well, which is always kind of cool. There's a few animals, there's a few botanicals, as we've seen. Really lovely. I don't know if you know about this deck, it's really lovely. So the backs are these ones, which are really nice as well. And let me just, as always, I'm going to shuffle. So I have decided not to do any editing unless I make a really stupid mistake and I say something that is not correct. Because I just want my videos to be as free-flowing as possible, in the sense that it really shows my commitment to the channel. And I also noticed that when I can actually talk to a camera showing my face, I noticed that to me it becomes somehow easier not to make too many mistakes. And I don't know why that is. Maybe because I'm looking at myself in the camera and I'm thinking, yeah, you need to get your stuff straight, you need to get it right, you need to say what you mean, and you need to think about it, and then you need to communicate it in the best possible way, because I want to communicate this message to others. And I also noticed that it is very much appreciated in the tarot community. Ever since I started posting videos in which I was showing my face, I've actually started gaining a lot more subscribers, which is, you know, numbers are never important, to be honest with you. It's not that, it doesn't make the bond stronger only because there's higher numbers of subscribers, but it does give me the possibility to be in touch with a lot more people, and so I highly appreciate that. And so if this is what, you know, people appreciate, then, you know, having gotten over my being really shy about the way I look and all of my flaws, and the fact that my age is start to showing on my face and everything, and whoa, I mean, we all go through this, don't we? But, and they tell you, and I remember, you know, hearing my mom and my auntie talking about aging and how that was affecting their confidence as well. And I remember thinking to myself, but you're still gorgeous. You know, I was looking at my mom. My mom used to be a model, and she was also in, she participated in Miss Italia. She didn't win, but she did participate. And she wasn't immediately eliminated, like she went off for a bit. And then, you know, she received all sorts of job offers on TV, for example, as a presenter and stuff like that. It's just that her dad, so my grandpa, was very conservative, and so he and she was very young, and so it was like, no, maybe wait a few years, and if you're still into it, then you can do it. But she kept on modeling. And also when she had breast cancer, there were a lot of charity events organized where there were a lot of designers. So Italy has got a lot of designers, and they were donating a lot of dresses for the auction, and then the profits out of the auction were given to a lot of charities. And so she was modeling for, she was going down the runway with designer dresses. So I have photos of my mom wearing Valentino and Armani and Loro Piana and Versace and you name it. And which is really fun because, you know, seeing her, then of course then she got really sick and then she passed away. But it was really nice for me to have these photos, as I still have them. And so I was thinking, looking at her, I was thinking, Mom, you look gorgeous. What are you talking about? Signs of aging. You know, I was very little when she got really sick. So I was in worship. I was worshiping her. But I understand what she meant. You don't look the same. And it's normal. It's the process of aging. But at the same time, it does hurt a little bit. And so getting over this was very difficult for me, but so be it. This is me, no filters, because I wouldn't even know how to put a filter on a video. I know how to put a filter on a photo, but not on a video. And yes, do I use makeup? Yes, I use makeup. Do I use more makeup now than when I was in my 20s? Yes, I use more makeup now than when I was in my 20s. Raise your hand if you do the same. It's just that, you know, we have makeup, we might as well use it. Anyway, let's have a look at this pairing, because that's what we're here for, not me just blabbering about aging and, you know, all the sad stuff related to that. Look at this! Oh my goodness! Look at this, it's amazing! Oh, I absolutely love this. Oh, I knew it would have been the perfect match. I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Sorry, I'm being arrogant now. I'm just really loving this. Oh, it feels like, as I said before, it makes me not bothered anymore by the fact that there are no faces on the tarot cards. It feels like the faces that I can see and focus on the oracle cards are enough, and they're actually really communicative. Oh, look at this, they have the same pose, you know, just sitting cross-legged like that. Intuition with the magician, and the Two of Swords, you know, use your intuition and your resources that you have at your disposal in order to understand which way to go, because you find yourself in a very difficult situation in the Two of Swords. And the romance with the Empress, of course, the love, the creative love, and the Eight of Wands, and perhaps things are going really quickly and you don't even realize it. And the Eight of Wands has got that kind of energy that tells you that you're going 120 miles an hour and you don't really know where you're going, so you need to probably slow down a bit. And oh my goodness, look at this! Oh my goodness, sorry, I'm saying oh my goodness all the time, but seriously, look at these cards. The Lover cards, with this sense of bond, really strong bond between these two characters, and the determination, which is showing you a really strong bond also within the Lioness and the person. Intention to achieve, and the Three of Wands with expanding your horizon. This looks a lot like, is it called Napali Coast in Hawaii? I think it's something like that. Pardon me, I actually haven't been to Hawaii, unfortunately. I really want to go one day. It's on my list. Really loving these two decks together. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I promise I will stop saying oh my goodness. What else can I say to express the wow factor? This feels like a match made in heaven. I totally feel the vibes coming out of both the decks. It feels like I almost have to shut up and take a step back and just exercise my mechanical role as a card I'm flipping the cards, so it's a card slinger rather than interpreting them, because there is a strong communication here. They do have a dialogue, these two decks together. There's a conversation going on, and I really, really like it. I am in a worshipping state, absolutely adore it. So I'm really happy that this actually works out, because I was a little bit hesitant, you know. I kept on saying a number of times I'm not going to get the Earth Woman Tarot because they don't have faces. But when you use it this way, with an oracle deck that actually shows you a face, it doesn't create the kind of cognitive dissonance that I was very worried about. It feels like it's flowing, and it's absolutely magnificent. Sorry, I'm becoming a bit emotional because it's actually really moving. It is really moving. I don't know. I don't know if I'm conveying this to you. I don't know if this is the message that you feel coming out of the cards as well. But there is a sense of peace, and there is a sense of welcoming. No matter what happens to you in life, no matter how you look, how old you think you look, and how you're entering another phase in your life, and the things that you regret doing or not doing, this is welcoming you. These two decks are telling you that everything is okay, and there is no judgment here. It's a safe space, and it's really strong. It's very emotional. So I really, really liking these two decks together. My goodness. Okay, so I'm very happy because this means that I'm going to enjoy this tarot deck, even though I was a bit worried, you know, at the beginning. So now it is everything that I bought. So, oh no, sorry, I forgot one thing. My bad. Of course I had to buy a ring. I mean, seriously, of course I had to buy a ring. So I want to talk about this shop. This is called the Cabinet of Curiosities. And this is a shop that is situated in Laura. Laura is one of the most beautiful places in the Blue Mountains. It is one of the villages where you have really nice views over the Blue Mountains, which, by the way, they are called the Blue Mountains not because they're blue, but because the majority of the trees are eucalyptuses, and so eucalyptus has a certain color to the leaves that looks like a darker kind of forest green towards the bluish kind, but it's also because they have that oily substance that covers the leaves. That is what we then use for eucalyptus oil, for example. And that in the atmosphere at a certain point during the day, if it's sunny, it makes the foliage look as if it were blue. So that's why the mountains west of Sydney are called the Blue Mountains. They're really beautiful. There's some scenic spot that I highly recommend. And there's also these villages where not only you can find the bookstores that we went to, but they have really nice cafes and places where you can have a meal. They have a lot of shops with really, really beautiful stuff. And this is the Cabinet of Curiosities, which is one of those shops. I highly recommend visiting if you're in Sydney. Because I found some incredibly beautiful objects, and I've actually taken a video, so let's have a look at the video. So as you can see, there's really beautiful objects you can find, not just tarot and oracle decks, but also jewelry, and it's a very specific kind of jewelry. So basically I spoke to the person that was at the shop at the when I went there, Annabelle, and she was saying that she does the buying, so she's the one that actually curates the collection that is for sale, and in many cases she will select one rather than another brand. And in my case I had to go with this ring. And you guys know me, and by the way, I also wanted to show you these two rings. So this one, I don't know if you can tell, I have to do like this, and I don't know if you can see, but this is a ring that has a cat sitting on a moon, and it's a cat with angel wings. And of course I had to buy because it reminds me of my Missy, who passed away on the 17th of January, exactly 1 month before my birthday. So obviously my birthday was a little bit sad as well because of that. But I also bought this really beautiful ring, which is a butterfly with a simul pearl. This is not a pearl. So these were very affordable prices. These are not precious material. But I also bought a ring from the Cabinet of Curiosities. And if you guys know me, you can probably guess what this ring is or what it will show. There is a number of rings that I really loved, and this one Annabelle explained to me that it's a Thai creator. It's a creator from Thailand who is shipping overseas, I'm guessing, or whether she went to Thailand. We actually didn't get into how she got this collection. But it is really beautiful, and of course it is a skull, because you know me, I just love skulls so much. I mean, look how beautiful this is. Well, I wish I could focus. Sorry, let me just... No, it doesn't want to focus on the ring. Okay, at this distance it does. So you guys know me, I love skulls, and look how beautiful this is. How this is hand painted. This is hand painted, so look at the details. Absolutely amazing. I absolutely love the colors. And let me just show you because it fits me on, it is, you can actually regulate it, but for now it fits me on this ring. So there you go. It is really fantastic. I really love this. So I highly recommend, if you are in the Blue Mountains, to check out the Cabinet of Curiosities. They have a lot of stuff, really interesting ephemera stuff. So also, you know, a lot of stuff related to the Mexican culture, because that was indeed a Mexican artist that made all of the crosses on the wall that I was showing in the video. So very excited about this ring, but also about the fact that I found this shop, because the next time that I go to the Blue Mountains, I will definitely go and check it out again. But that was all for today. All of the things that I actually bought for in and around, or I was gifted for my birthday. There's more stuff to come, because I also ordered some decks online, and that obviously takes time before being delivered. But for now, I just wanted to show you this because I was very excited about it. And now, if you're still here, thank you so much for being here. I am going to let you decide which one of the nail set you want me to see wearing next. So I would say, let's call this one A, this one B, this one C, and this one D. So let me know in the comments below which set you want me to wear for the next video. Thank you so much for being here and for watching this. Let me know if you prefer this format, in which we're doing a bit of a mix. So obviously we're looking at the decks with the top-down camera. We're also looking at my face and my reaction to things. And this could be something that no one likes. And so, you know, let me know if you think that it's not very professional, it doesn't look professional. Let me know. It's absolutely fine. I just wanted to change things around a little bit and see whether it works or not. For now, have a great day. Bye!